wants to become a doctor. Whether it's the feeling of accomplishment, the moral satisfaction, or simply the paycheck, it's an option everyone's considered at least once. Being a doctor means you can come home feeling like you've made a direct change in the world. It's a career where you can feel like you're touching lives instantly. It's also a career that requires 13 years of school, including some of the most rigorous coursework in the world, and it has the highest dropout rate of any post-secondary learning branch. Telling my parents I wanted to become a doctor went as you'd expect. They were supportive, of course, but worried about the stressful path ahead of me. That's when my mom created this phrase, pick your hard. Essentially, your life's gonna be hard no matter what, but you decide what makes it that way. It's the decision between going to medical school and earning your doctorate, or living with the guilt, feeling like you couldn't live up to your full potential. It's that stress and that difficulty that pushes you to pick your hard. I understand the neuroscience behind stress, and I find it to be one of the most beautifully complex things to study. Understanding the science behind your decisions and how stress influences them can help you pick things in the future that'll further you towards your goals. The sensation of stress doesn't just materialize from thin air. The feeling that you get actually comes from three major structures in the brain: your amygdala, your prefrontal cortex, and your hypothalamus. Let's start with the amygdala. It's a grape-sized structure in the center of your brain that perceives your emotions and tells your body how to react to them. When your amygdala picks up high levels of stress, it activates your sympathetic nervous system, a network of nerves that goes on to activate your fight or flight response. That response can be why your heart rate picks up, your breathing changes, or why you might talk too fast. Its job is to overwhelm your senses, making you feel like you either have to fight what you're facing or take flight and back down. Once your amygdala and sympathetic nervous system register the amount of stress you're under, they send chemical signals to your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex, located in the foremost part of the brain, controls your decision-making. Once it controls your decision-making, and once it realizes the amount of stress you're under, it actually begins to shut itself down, restricting your ability to create a clear solution to your problem. Once you realize that you can't create a solution, it's really difficult to go on from there. With your decision-making under attack and your stress overcoming your mind, your body reacts immediately. The hypothalamus, a structure in the brain that regulates the body, begins to measure the amount of stress that you're under. It then begins to send out cortisol, a hormone designed to keep your body calm. Once the body realizes that it's under a normal amount of stress, cortisol is not harmful. However, when the stress that you experience is stronger and more intense, larger amounts of cortisol began to be sent out. Large amounts of cortisol can damage your body by increasing blood sugar, heart rate, causing long-term nerve issues, heart issues, and digestion issues. In the most extreme cases, your brain can undergo architectural differences, forever changing the way we perceive stress. Seemingly, when making difficult decisions, it can feel like your body and mind are your own worst enemies. The intense, nervous state that they send you in can almost feel paralytic, forcing you to make a decision that can either be positive or negative. It's hard to remember that the way you feel is chemical and not a direct reflection as to who you are as a person. To keep your mind grounded, we can pull tactics pulled from behavioral psychology. The 3-2-1 method requires you to name 3 things that you can see, 2 things that you can hear, and 1 thing that you can touch. This causes your prefrontal cortex to settle your body, registering that your environments are safe, allowing you to relax. Once grounded, I try to solve the stress in an attempt to eliminate it in the future. First, I ask and try to eliminate the stressor. What's freaking me out so bad? It could be that I have a test in a subject that I'm not especially proficient in. Next, I ask, well, what can I do? This gives me options. I can study, pad my grade with extra credit or late work, or do nothing at all. I consider my options and evaluate the outcomes. Studying will get me a good grade, making it a solid option. Padding my grade might work and it might not, and not studying at all could take my grade even further. Whatever I choose, I begin creating a plan for each outcome. Now, this is key. The most sensible options rarely ever require a plan, assuring me that I've made the right decision. Meaning, padding my grade could just mean I have to study harder in the future, and not studying at all means I need to be meticulous about the work that I do, making sure that I get all the points. Lastly, I put my plan into action. I've just solved my stress step by step by evaluating the things I have control over. But sometimes you aren't always in control. Understanding your locus of control is pertinent to stress management. It's a person's belief as to what they have control over in the world. Once you realize that you can truly only control yourself, stress management lies in the small things. Taking care of your physical body circles right back to the neuroscience behind stress. Anything you do for your body is good for your mind. Balancing your diet, watching caffeine intake, and just moving your body only boosts the functions of the structures that we reviewed. When your mind and body are under the attack in the face of a difficult decision, it's easy to make a decision that's not going to serve you or your happiness in the long run. Being better prepared to deal with the challenges that our goals present us with can help us prepare for our future. Learn how to deal with that uncomfortable feeling of stress and difficulty, and watch how anything becomes possible. Pick things that are going to stress you out, now that you know how to make that stress work for you. Pick what's going to further your future. And most importantly, pick your heart. Thank you.